All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jon Randall. I'm a regional director for Golden Care, and I'm glad to be sitting in front of you today on the computer here, getting ready to do a webinar. This is going to be a really short and sweet webinar, but it's just basically I want to just get back to say, here's why we're doing this, and it's really not that complicated. If you haven't been with us before, make sure you go to goldencareagent.com. We have some great tools on there. All of our agents are welcome to use them. The Stratecision compares long-term care companies, short-term care companies, and hybrid care companies. The CSG Actuarial will compare all the Medicare supplements and Medicare Advantage in any zip code in the nation. Really a great tool. So we have the care options, which is a great lead and referral tool. And again, like I said, today is really short and sweet. So we'll go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to jump on this. And let's go ahead and get started. And you'll be back to your workday here in no time. Again, I'm Jon Randall, Regional Director for Golden Care. COVID had a big impact on our business. Last year, they sold a lot more long-term care than they did in previous years. Part of that is to do with the Washington Care Act, but a lot of it was to do with people were really afraid to go to nursing homes. If you look at it, 73% of the Canadian deaths were in retirement homes and long-term care facilities. If you're receiving care at home, only 3% contracted the coronavirus and only 1% died, while 37% in facilities received it and 11% died. That is a huge increase, 11 times more likely to die if you're in a long-term care facility. 61% of people said they would rather die than go to a nursing home. And that's a huge, huge number of people that are just deathly afraid of it. So you know what? 81% of people believe it's important to have long-term care. It's our job to get out there. People that have been in the long-term care business for a long time know our fishbowl is shrinking. And a lot of the reason it's shrinking is people think it's too complicated, too hard to get, too this, too that. You know what? It is getting a little harder to qualify for it, so we should try to get people in there when they're younger. Finally, today, we have products that should be priced correctly. They fixed the last batch, pricing 5% almost out of the market and doing the gender rating. But you know what? The policies we're selling today should be safe from rate increases. We can't guarantee that. But they're definitely priced different than they were a long time ago. And the people that have been in it for a long time know that. Again, people are terrified to end up in the nursing home. Before we get started, I want to let you know, for attending this today, you will get a complimentary CE voucher. But we're also, in addition to that, going to send you a link to our access the toolbox of free consumer marketing materials. There's a lot of nice materials in there. We're also going to give you a copy of the Missing Link consumer presentation. That is the long-term care presentation that in some form or another has sold over $1 billion in long-term care. It's a great presentation. And almost everybody's presentation they're using today has a lot of the missing link in it. So it was put together by a whole bunch of leaders in the long-term care industry and tweaked over the years. But this is the one we still use today, and it's the one I used 22 years ago when I was out in the field. Again, just with some extra little differences, stats have changed. But when you look for your thank you email, and you're going to see the links to all of these resources. So again, long-term care insurance has a reputation of being very complex. But you know what? it's way less intimidating than most people think. Basically, there's just three basic concepts you need to know. And we want to help you understand these three things, which is about how 95% of the policies work. So if you get those little things down, you can add the other things in later on as you get used to them. And again, at the end of this presentation, I'll show you another tool that talks about all the other riders and different benefits on there. But basically, one more thing before I get started. Along with the three basic steps, a lot of times you have a reason for getting into long-term care. Mine myself was when I was younger, I lost my wife to cancer. But before that, I took care of her, along with the help of her mother-in-law, my mother-in-law. But after that, my brother Tom and my brother Mark both got into long-term care. They saw how important it was. Then they sold a policy to my mother. And for 30 years, we heard her complain about paying all these premiums and what if she never uses it, this and that. Well, for the past 2+ years, she's been receiving benefits. She's 94 years old. She's got it back twice as much as she put in. And she said, you know what? I'd be almost broke right now if I didn't have this, and I would be broke soon. She has a lifetime policy that's never going to quit paying, and it's going to pay her bills. She's very, very healthy in the mind, and she gets around good still. She just needs help with 2 out of her 6 ADLs, and she is collecting full-time on it. So she is the biggest complementer of long-term care that I know right now because I talk to her all the time. But she can't believe she almost tried to lapse it. Good thing we didn't let her. So the first thing you need to know is how much. Basically, how much is the policy going to pay me? How much is it going to pay me per day, per month, and for how long is it going to pay? It's important to tell people that right away. You can reference the average cost in your area, but remember, if you're staying at home, it's going to be a lot cheaper than a nursing home. Assisted living is a lot cheaper than the nursing home. But you can't just try to cover the whole cost of care either. Remember, they're still going to have income coming in. They're going to have Social Security probably. They're going to have 401ks. You don't have to insure somebody for 100% coverage. Get them what's comfortable, so make sure they can afford the premiums. But that's the first thing they need to know is how much am I going to get? And we do have the cost of care study that you will be getting, and it's the brochure that tells you everything in your area, so we will get that out to you. The next one is how long is the policy going to last? Most of them go in years, and like the Mutual Omaha has a cash benefit built in that's a quarter of the policy benefit. So basically it would last 4 times longer if you only use the cash benefit. But it's always important to tell them this is going to last you 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is. And then let them know that, you know what, the average policy is usually used, for this percentage. Make sure you know what it is before you go out there. Those stats change all the time, but we know that if you have a 3-year policy, you're going to cover probably 93% of all long-term care cases out there. So that's a good number to shoot for. But some people, might be less, and some people might have a lot of Alzheimer's in their history, and they might want a little longer plan. Again, it's what they can afford, but make sure you let them know how long it lasts. And some policies do use a pool of money, but it still usually breaks it down into some type of year or month. And then the third thing is, how soon is it going to start paying? Make sure you explain to them that there's 2 ways to trigger your policy. You either have to not be able to do 2 out of your 6 ADLs, or activities of daily living, or you have to have a cognitive impairment that requires substantial supervision. Your doctor or your RN signs off on that, and that starts your trigger. Then there's the elimination period, so that's the third part. How soon is it going to pay? Once your triggers go off, you can have a 0, 30, 60, 90-day elimination's the most common, 180 or a 360-day. But that's what they need to know. Make sure they know the basics. Those three things, that's what's important to them. Remember, there are a lot of other options on here, and I'm going to show you some of those if I can get out of this presentation like I couldn't before. Inflation protection for younger people is very important. It does help the policy grow over time. But more and more people are just selling bigger benefits and keeping the costs down by not adding any inflation at all. Spouse security benefits, there's a lot of them that give you, peace of mind to the spouse. There's a lot of other options like 200% professional home care, return of premium options, many different inflation options, all those other things. Remember another thing with long-term care, the average commission stays on the book for over a quarter century. I mean, no other product has that kind of longevity to it where you're still getting paid. And you know what? That money can keep your business really stable, even through some tough economic conditions. So remember, it's how much, how long, how soon. That's 95% of all policies. We're going to send out a link to Fast Facts that actually, in about 1 to 3 minutes, explains all the other riders just so you can get familiar with them. But know this, how much, how long, how soon. We do have more than just the basics tomorrow. If you haven't heard Mark Goldberg speak yet, he's going to do the LTC Pro Sales Strategies webinar tomorrow at 2 o'clock Central. So make sure you catch that. Besides those three facts, you just got to make sure you get what state they're in, male or female, and their age. But there's all kinds of other things you have to consider once you become versed with those three things. The health is preferred select class 1, class 2. You have a range of benefits, $1,500 to $10,000. Pool money, $50,000 to $500,000. And look at these inflation options. I mean, every 0.25% from 1 to 5%. Then you have none, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year, lifetime. So there is a lot of different options out there. You can see the partner benefit options. You can get familiar with all of those, but the main thing is just make sure you know the basics. Again, this is a very simple, quick webinar. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your day. Remember now, if you haven't been to our website, make sure you go there and check out all the stuff we have to offer. There's no sign-in. It's goldencareagent.com. Anybody can go there. If you're an agent, you can get all the tools, the care options, strategy decisions, CSG actuarial. You can become part of the Golden Care Rewards program. We do have the LTC CEO selling tool software. Has cost of care calculators. It has income spend down and asset spend down calculators. We have the best back end support here. We're always here to help. Feel free to give us a call anytime. Thanks for coming on board. And everybody have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy your weekend, and feel free to call us anytime. 800-842-7799. Thank you.
Check out our website, goldencareagent.com, or give us a call at 842-7799.